Hey folks, Farm Tour Tuesday. Today is February 7th, 2023. So, like that would change from the last video, right? It just got done raining, and it's supposed to rain some more this evening. So everything is pretty muddy, I'm not gonna lie, but everybody's got all these round bales, so that's pretty helpful. We're over here starting with toast. The willows over here don't really mind it. Of course, they're dormant, so I guess they don't care. Those are getting cut this week or next because it is middle of February, getting to middle of February, and we cut towards the middle to end of February, maybe first week of March, but my first week of March is looking like it's going to be pretty packed up. So we're going to try to hop on that real quick because I also want to build some other stuff in the field we'll talk about when we get out there with a lot of these willows that we'll be cutting at our place. So, anywho, we're over here with Toast. And Toast is standing in a bunch of mud because the area right around his water barrel is muddy, but he does have his nice dry-ish hay bale that he keeps pulling off of and eating a bunch of. And then the rest of his yard isn't as smashed down muddy as right here. You can see that's, it's wet because it just got done raining and there is no grass in here. This is that quarantine yard that if you watch the other videos, you know that this is a big point of contention right now. I want to get it to the point where there's no pigs in here, but as we'll talk about more when we get out to the feeder piglets, we're about to add a couple more piglets to this yard, unfortunately. So, though he goes in like 2-3 weeks, he'll be processed. Okay, those of you that watch, you know that Toast is the one who's injured himself. He's getting processed in a couple weeks. We're adding the other piglets because they need to go over here and it won't hurt them to kind of start getting acclimatized to other pigs. So, and it's because that other little boar we got. But beyond that, not bad. Barn still needs done. It just keeps falling to the back of the radar because I'm on another bathroom reno and our kitchen reno, so I know I have a bunch of scrap metal to take in, and I want to take it all in one go because I hate driving our truck to the scrapyard because we always run a big risk of flattening your tires. So I like to do one trip, combine it all into one trip. So as soon as that's done, I'll smash this all down and load it all up. At least as soon as all the pipe is out of these two bathrooms that might need to go to the scrapyard. So, all right, let's move on to the feeder piglets. So I want to start here at the back so you can see what of the feeder paddock, so you can see what their paddock actually looks like, not just the area around their bales, to see that their area is still pretty great back here. This also shows you where the water starts on our farm. So you can see it slopes in and starts there, and that runs through, down, collects into this low spot here, which the fence kind of dams off because, pigs walk on both sides. So that creates a high spot on the fence, seeps through, hits there, runs down, around, hooks over, drops through, and then hits that big channel that we stand in when we're over there, which I'll get to when I get to the breeders. We'll see that from that angle. And then, it loops from those other two paddocks, hits a low spot, and then runs through, ties into that big channel, and then runs out. So we're going to talk about leaky weirs when I get over to them a little bit, just a little bit, show you what's coming in the video I'll make later this week when I cut willows and build those. But I wanted to show you this makes it where we're going to put a leaky weir, multiple leaky weirs in nearly every paddock. So you can kind of understand the scale of what we're going to be doing with all that scrap wood. So as far as the feeder piglets go, you can see they do still have, it's not much, but I mean, it's more than I've gotten a lot of other paddocks except those back two, which I'll touch on again when we get back out there with those breeders as to why nobody's over there currently. But you can see that this is just its marshy area. There's no turned over soil. It's just the clumps. I'm a fall. So that is just where grass has been smashed down. It's still, the soil is still covered. It's just very, very, very thin. It is not what I would like, but it is also the beginning to middle of February. So there is no active grass growth. And for pigs, I'm pretty darn happy. This is a week that the pigs have been in here, and this is a group of, we've got the 9 plus 5, 14 pigs in here, and for over a week. And there's our low channel spot that is always there, which they haven't even messed with. But there is no real damage. There's a couple spots up here I noticed that are small, but you can see they're still, I'm not gonna quite call this a haze of green yet because it's not quite there. It'll hit there in March, but there are some spots where it definitely looks much greener. So, oh, and all this poop. You see all of this poop out here. This is actually dog poop. Like this stuff that's not breaking down. The stuff that breaks down, like that's fairly fresh pig poop. You can still see the grass in it and the hay in it. And it breaks down really fast. The dog poop does not break down very fast. But you can see where it's dirty where they're pacing, or slightly muddy where they're pacing the fence, but that's just packed hoof print marks. Like I can't even really make much of a dent in it. It's just sharp hoofs. They have, and that's just a dead spot. There's still standing stuff in it the whole way, so I don't know what was not growing there or what was growing here that stopped grass from growing there, but this spot I'd noticed, and as we move a little over here, this has some where they've turned it up a little bit. And I don't know, it's still not very deep. Yeah, it doesn't even go really over my boot top. So they did hit this one spot, which is a very small area. And over here, I know this was a little tree. So it looks like they wanted to get all of the roots out of that one. So that one, they did dig a crater. Yeah, that one's deep. So I will want to fill that in this summer. But I'm pretty happy. I am pretty darn happy. And keep in mind too, like this, like I'm showing you this and showing this one little area here that is barely roughed up, okay? For 14 pigs, like this whole area is, you see those tree cages are over 5 foot tall. So that's about 5 foot wide, maybe 15 foot long-ish, because they could fit about 3 cages back to back. And then it jags over for almost the same. It's like a perfect L. That is barely turned over with the one deeper spot. I'm not feeding supplemental mineral right now. So they're just getting the mineral that they would get in their 3.5 pounds ration. So this is, if I bumped up the mineral, I could probably get that to go away a little, but it's not enough that I'm worried about it. And they're obviously, this just further goes to show that what they were doing in that other paddock was definitely going after the biochar, because they're not doing it anywhere else. They're only doing that in that one paddock that has biochar. None of our other paddocks have had biochar applied. So, yeah. I will go ahead and come up here. They've got their bales. They've got their whey-soaked feed. Hi, Piggle. What's going on, Piggle? Yeah. Oh, there's our boar we're keeping back. So we got some updates on him. Him and our crypt orchid. Show you him. I'm pretty happy with how he's turning out so far. I think he's gonna be a handsome fella. He may go to the show, if I can figure out how to transport multiple pigs in our tiny little trailer and separate a boar from females. I may bring him to the show in June. But, because I think he's gonna do pretty nice. Fingers crossed. And then there's our lard bulls. Look at how fat they get on the same amount of feed that everybody else is getting. There's the other one. They're just solid sausages. So, that said, we're gonna take that boar. Hi guys. We're gonna take that boar, okay? Because he can't stay in here any longer. This coming week or next week, he's leaving here because he's like about 3.5 months old. So he's getting real close to where he needs to go. So he is gonna go with the crypt orchid and one barrow over to join Toast. That's Cupcake. Cupcake is not much better than Muffin as far as like being a jerk to the other pigs. So, where'd he go? He's over there. So the 3 of them are gonna go over to join Toast. And the biggest reason for that is, the reason why I'm doing 3 of them over there is I want, when Toast goes, I don't want them to be alone, okay? Because then on Easter, so April whatever, we're doing a pig roast and we're gonna roast that crypt orchid. So we're gonna do that as a family Easter dinner, all day thing. So once I do that, once we process that crypt orchid, because I don't need 2 potentially intact smaller males to deal with on the farm. So we'll process the crypt orchid as a roaster pig. And then, what is you? That little lady's lifting her back leg a little funny. I'm gonna check that out in a few. So when we process that crypt orchid here in 2 months, I don't want the boar to be left by himself, okay? So then he'll have that barrow to hang out with, because he'll lose Toast and he'll lose the Crypt Orchid. So that's why 3 are going over there, and that needs to happen like this week. So, all right. I am gonna check her out real quick and make sure that it's nothing visibly wrong with her, and then we're gonna move out to the field to the rest of those pigs. So over to the breeders, they're still where they were. This makes 2.5 weeks with them back in these paddocks. So these guys here and these guys there. And really a lot of that, and they haven't really done that much damage. There's that hole by the tree, but that just keeps getting bigger and bigger every time anyone's in this paddock. I don't really understand what's so special right there. But you can see that in the rest of it, there's still the grass cover, you know, as thick as it's going to be with them continually grazing it, right? It looks like every other Midwest farm for that section. And then down by the bottom of the fence, and it's the bottom of the pond, so it kind of seeps right through here anyways, like all year. That's just a kind of a little bit wet. I'm thinking, like, so part of me wants to plant some willows there because of that, but I really don't want them that close to the fence. And I did put these are persimmons. Ooh, sorry, camera got unfocused there. These are persimmons along this line, so I think they'll help. And then they give me room that should I ever need to bring a tractor, trailer, or equipment, whatever, a small one, I could squeeze it along the fence line, right? And so we've done that for the most part on this side too. But yeah, a little bit of grass, but nothing for anyone to eat really beyond these hay bales, except these 2 paddocks here. This one, which its gate is terrible as always, but this one and that back one, tons of grass. But we're still in that Pig Tetris problem right now. Like, now it is resurfaced. Ladies, knock it off. I don't know what has caused this from the last time. It's been a few years since I did 2 bores. I guess it's really just the quarantine yard. The quarantine yard is my biggest kicker right now. So we'll show you this one, because they're just gonna keep fighting. They're goobers. That line is spread out on both sides of that bale. They just need to go eat the other side of the bale. So you can see same thing here, like they've just cropped it down real short. So there isn't really much grass in there, but they haven't destroyed it. They haven't turned it over, no more than their hooves do on the ground. They haven't done what the feeder pigs did in here and hunt down all the biochar, which you can still see there's still the like grass cover on the backside here. That front side where I spread more of the biochar is a little rougher, but it is all just like this top little layer turned over anywhere that they've done it, because we spread biochar right here, a little right in through here, because I thought adding some near the fence would be good, or the gate, and then kind of in a swoosh. You can see that darker swoosh, like right there where it peels off the main pathway to get out here. That was a biochar. And then back along that fence there where you can see it's green on like brown, and then green, and then brown. Well, the brown on both sides is spots I remembered lugging the wheelbarrow and spreading out biochar. So this, right, obviously I don't want to throw pigs in this. And this is what lands me in that Pig Tetris. So feeders we just came from are up there still, paddock number 1. Still, I mean, that's 1 week. They've been in there 1 week. It's from processing time. But they're fine. There's tons of grass, as you saw. Well, not tons of grass really to eat, but like tons of, it's not destroyed in there. So, but everybody has hay bales. It is middle of February-ish, the 7th, so the beginning of February. But right, I would love to put pigs back there, okay, into these 2, preferably just that back one, but I don't have a shelter back there, so I'd need to drag that shelter back. So we had been giving them open gate, that one. But if I do that, nobody can be in here with this hay bale, which is fine. But then that would mean I can't have these guys in here, right? Because then they would be fence to fence right there. And I don't want to put 2 boars fence to fence. There is the potential for them to breed fence to fence. And so that would be a concern of, well, are they actually those? Everybody should be, fingers crossed, bred. But that increases the potential for these 2 idiots to just fight through the fence and destroy something. So I don't want to do that, even though I've got the grass over there. Because if I put these guys over there, which is their rotation spot, is those 2 paddocks, then these guys have to move somewhere else, and they can't go here because this is worse than where they're at, and they have a hay bale. There are 2 good hay bales still in here, so somebody will eventually have to go in here this spring. But I don't want to do that yet because this is still fine. It's better than here, right? Leaving the only other option, the one that they just came from, which borders the feeder piglets. And I don't want to put the feeder piglets back in the L where they were, because that's pretty beat up, right? Because that's All the little piglets have been in there for a while, and that one has had like pigs nonstop. And then the quarantine yard has toast. So everybody is so spread out right now that I have run out of spots, even with, what do we have total, like 6 field paddocks. Is that right? No, there's 7. There's 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. No, there are 7 field paddocks. I'm crazy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, 7. I thought there were 7, but for some reason in my head I kept thinking I was crazy and that there were only 6. So there are 7 field paddocks, the quarantine yard, the L. So that's 9 paddocks there. Plus, worst case scenario, we can always spot graze the front yard because it is fully fenced in. But we don't that often because we have all of our little trees and stuff up there that I don't protect. And then the 4 little farrowing yards, but I'm not going to put anybody in farrowing yards until the time is here. Well, there's 6 farrowing yards. So even with all of those different paddocks, like everything is at a point where it's like, nope, I can't really move anybody. So I don't have a great solution for where to just keep rotating everyone until we get a few of these done. But even then, like, right, so once toast is done, then we have the other boar piglet. All of these gals will go up, and they'll go to their farrowing yards soonish, right? That'll be, well, it's like a month and a half out before they go to their farrowing yards. So really, we've got a while to just keep shuffling. Hopefully this kind of recovers a little bit. We'll pull off some of the hay and spread it, but I need to puzzle out what the heck I'm going to do for my next couple rotations, because I am running out of ideas. Yeah. So if you have any ideas on rotation, because I'm just kind of stuck there. You can always go back and watch the overhead map video of our farm to kind of get a look at that. But I'm sure if you watch enough of the Farm Tour Tuesdays, you know roughly what our farm looks like and where my paddocks are. Oh my God, they're just being a pain in the butt. Yeah, so I got to figure out these rotations on this like where everyone's going to go next. This is one thing that I'm going to be really, really excited about. The downsize is there will be 1 set of breeders and 1 set of feeders. So with those 9 yards, we'll be able to just split everybody up between those and rotate them throughout the year, and everyone will have 4.5. This is how you would look at that. I'll just see. What'll most likely happen is it'll be 4 paddocks for the breeders and 5 paddocks for the feeders, since the feeders will be a larger group, right? 3 versus 6 to 8 or whatever. So that's how that rotation will land. And it may even, honestly, with just 3 of them, that may be the L quarantine yard and the first paddock or something for the breeders, because that will be more than enough space for just the 3 of them, and I can rotate the feeders through the big field paddocks. And should I need to, hit a paddock a little bit harder in the full growth of summer, I can bring the breeders out and put them obviously in a separate paddock than the feeders. But if I'm like, that paddock has quite a bit of grass and needs hit a little bit better to really knock everything down, we'll just flush the big ones out. But right now I'm kind of trapped because we like to keep everybody moving. It is winter, so there's not as big of parasite issues to worry about. The grass isn't growing, so I'm not worried about keeping up with the grass. So we can allow for slightly longer rotations without it really having any serious negative effects beyond hoof prints. And so letting the ground kind of settle and rest between those surges of hoof prints is really, really nice. That is the biggest benefit, and them spreading their manure out more evenly all winter is a little bit better. But I'm less worried about the spreading the manure out evenly because there are 3 groups of them, right? So that means like, oh, there's a bluebird on the bluebird house down there. There's no way I could zoom in to show it. Maybe. No, can't make him out. He's just on the back side of it there, on top of the post that it's attached to. Yeah, and he's like sitting the other way. Maybe he'll fly? Yeah. Oh, there's 2 of them. I didn't see the other one. Yeah, now he's over on the fence. Anywho, that's fun. I gotta put out, we haven't sold any more of the birdhouses, and it is spring. I should probably try to push some of those. But at this point, I think it's time enough for the season. I'm gonna just start hanging them. If I don't sell any within the next couple weeks, I'll make 1 or 2 posts, but if I don't sell any, we're just gonna put them up. It's time for birds, right? And I need to build a big owl box for that big owl that keeps hanging around. Maybe we can get it to nest here. That'd be super cool. So I need to do that, and then I'm gonna hang some. And if I can find some more spots or places that are willing, especially bat houses, because I've got 9 bat houses and I really only have space. I could probably hang 3 or 4 bat houses out here. But I just don't have a whole lot of space. So I can hang a bunch of birdhouses, and there's already a ton out here. Like there's probably 10 or 15 birdhouses spread out, and we'll keep hitting. What I like is like every other corner post, because then they're about 50 to 75 or so feet away from each other, which is kind of a good territory mark for bluebirds and house wrens to kind of occupy the same style of boxes away from each other. Maybe we should do a video on the different birdhouses we do, and because honestly, I don't care if you totally steal. They're not really even my designs. They're designs I've found or modified. So yeah, we'll do a whole video on the birdhouses, because now is the time to do it. So if you're gonna build some birdhouses or go out and buy some, there's some things to look for. So that might be helpful. We'll do that. I think I'm kind of starting to ramble a bit. Let's move on to, in the next week or two, you guys will start seeing some stuff on leaky weirs. If you saw the reel or short, you'll see that we started bringing the wood out to the field for that. When I cut the willows is when I'll build those. I'm getting the wood out here, and then we're gonna cut the willows, and I'm gonna build those, so you guys will get to see that whole process and see what a leaky weir really is. In super layman's terms, super short, it's just a method of slowing down the water as it travels through that kind of low water. I pulled the phone closer to my face to like zoom out and show you that, but wrong direction. That low water area that works its way, and his barrel is full of water, that works through there and up and off of there and back. So we're gonna put some leaky weirs to slow the water down as it travels across our farm, to catch sediment and catch any extra water and nutrients. That way it seeps down into the groundwater, right? Instead of just flowing across the top as erosion to eventually hit I think where that winds up hitting into is the Sac River. And so I need to like pull the maps. I've watched it a little ways, like about a mile down the road, like pulled up the map and looked at it where it lands a mile down, but not where that drainage finally connects in. Because you can see it like as it travels across mine and my neighbors and yada, 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 as it works around. But I haven't followed it all the way down to which creek or river it jumps into. But I know the Sac River is just right over there. So I think this hits another creek, which then flows into the Sac, which then flows into the White, maybe. No, the Sac and the White are 2 different drainages. And I only know that because there's a darter species that I can find in one, but I can't find in the other because they're not native. Anywho, okay, really rambling about darter species now. So we're gonna build those leaky weirs to slow the water down. It won't stop the water. Water will still flow through, but the goal is to slow it down so more of it has time to soak into our soil, which will really help us out drought season too, because there will be more groundwater available here in our high water table. So we have a 30 inches down, we have a clay hard pan. So the more water, we can't trap it real deep, but we can trap it as deep as that and spread it out over the whole farm. So all season there is more water available, and we're not passing the erosion problems down to the next set of fields and down onto the creek. So yeah, look for those videos to come out. I think that's been a nice Farm Tour Tuesday. So keep track, fingers crossed, there will be more green starting to pop up in the next couple of weeks. I'm excited, spring is almost here. Really, I know spring doesn't start until a little ways, like a little further in, but for me, like the 1st of March is always spring for me. Like I'm like, oh, there's a haze of green. So like that's almost there. That's like 3 weeks out. So thank you guys for watching. Thank you to our Patreon supporters, Raymond and Ashley Hunter. And anyone else that wants to join that is all still up there. So Raymond and I have just been chatting on the phone. And if you want to do a Zoom versus just chatting on the phone, let me know, Raymond, and we'll swap to that. But for now, I've assumed that's fine since we talk a couple times a month, which is just super enjoyable. But if you guys want to join the Patreon, we will switch as we get more people. We will switch to doing Zoom chats so that everybody can get together. We can talk, and we can kind of record those so that if new people come on, they could go back and watch those and see, hey, like what problems have people already discussed. And then there is the $50 mentorship one where we'll just one-on-one meet once a month and kind of talk through any problems that you think you're having. Like what could I try and help you with? What issues have I faced that you directly want questions for. You guys can always post suggestions for video topics. Ashley has a bunch of topics that I need to record videos for on there that she has suggested. And then on the $50 mentorship one, you also get to be part of the other video too. Like, you're part of that group. You get all the benefits of the below tiers as well as that big benefit. So, all right. You guys have a great rest of your week, and I will see you later this week when we do leaky weirs and willow cuttings. And then I'll see you again next Tuesday. Thank y'all.